Hello, everyone. Welcome to the GG Dispatch. My name is Jeremy. I go by Mithrandiel on the Geekly Grind, which is the outlet you are most likely familiar with if you're listening to this podcast. And who am I joined by today?
Alan.
Alan. Tell us more about yourself, Alan. What do you do for the Geekly Grind? What sort of thing has led you into this massive world of gaming? Give us a bit of an intro here.
So basically, I tend to cover mostly Xbox. It's sort of most of the other coverage that we get is just PlayStation, Nintendo Switch. So I like kind of living in that ecosystem. I'm on Game Pass. I've got the Series X, so I'm all about Xbox.
Nice. We need somebody in that space because admittedly it's not me. I think I recently I did a video on Game Pass, and I've always been sort of a Sony person myself, so we want to make sure we've got good coverage across the spectrum of gaming. If you are new to the Geekly Grind, again, my name is Jeremy. I'm based out of Southern California, San Diego. I have been gaming since I was a wee lad of about 2 years old, since I could hold the Nintendo controller. I actually got my Nintendo before my Atari, which is kind of weird. And Alan and I, we looked around, we saw some of the content that Geekly Grind was putting out, and we realized we didn't have a regular weekly podcast for gaming. And so that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to have a space where we could talk a little bit about some of the gaming news, talk a little bit about games that we're currently playing and excited about that are coming out, and of course, new releases as well. In the future, I think we'll definitely be bringing on some indie developers and other creators to shine a light on what they're working on and cover more of the gaming world as much as we can, really. And so that's what GG Dispatch is all about. That's what we're going to be working on. This is a new show for us. We'll be releasing them on Tuesdays. But as we kind of progress with this podcast, things are going to evolve and change. And so we appreciate you all being here with us on day one, episode one. And we look forward to bringing some more content to you. So thanks for being here.
Yep, thank you.
So we'll go ahead and kick off with the Unity CEO, John Riccitiello, stepping down in the wake of the installment fee controversy. So this is an article from IGN that was posted today. And basically, if you were online in the gaming space at all, you probably saw a bit of a what would you call it, Alan? Like a little bit of a feather ruffling around the Unity platform changes. You want to kind of quickly summarize the pain point of this update?
Oh yeah, there was definitely a kerfuffle to say the least. And so basically, it just boiled down to Unity going, "Hey, that's a lot of nice installs you got there. You're gonna have to pay us more now." And so for a lot of indie dev studios, that's a big change. It's not something that they can easily absorb as much as a larger studio. So there was just a massive backlash. You even had some devs were like, "Well, at the end of the year, like we're just pulling this game down from any store. Get it while you can." I don't know how serious they were about that, but that is how visceral of a reaction that Unity ended up getting.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of really upset, not just developers, but gamers as well, and aspiring developers too. I mean, previous to this whole incident, I think Unity was looked on fairly favorably by a lot of the gaming community as being a bit more approachable, not quite as overwhelming as, say, the Unreal Engine or that or other systems that might have required a bit more ramp, not quite as user friendly. But then this happened and sort of demolished any sort of goodwill that Unity had sown in the past couple of years. And so, yeah, one of the games that definitely stood out in terms of companies that said that we're going to pull our game was Cult of the Lamb. I know that their dev came on a line and we're like, okay, get our game because we're pulling it off the store on January 1st. And I think a lot of developers doing this, and of course the outcry um, from really everyone caused Unity to backpedal pretty hard, and now that sort of manifested itself now in the CEO having to step down and step away after such a disastrous launch. And I don't know. I mean, do you think other companies are going to learn a lesson from this, or do you think we're going to have the same conversation in like 6 months when like Unreal Engine or another platform decides that they want to make some more money off devs?
I mean, Epic, as we'll see in another story later in this podcast, is certainly struggling. And companies end up just messing up in the same ways as other companies.
Yeah.
And it's just, with him stepping down, like I think it was the only thing they could really do at this point to kind of try to salvage the situation. Although I found it really interesting that in all of the stories, he's kind of retired. He wasn't fired; he was retired,
Hmm.
which almost seems like, a kind of a, oh, we'll do that to keep you all quiet, but they probably still really believe in that path forward.
Yeah, yeah, and that's also a talking point that a lot of folks have had, which is, are they just trying to calm us down and kind of take us off the ledge? By first they threw out just a completely ridiculous, terrible idea, and then they say, oh no no no, we're not going to do that. Here's a bad idea instead, and everybody will be like, oh, thanks for the bad idea, because compared to the awful idea, it seems tame in comparison, right? So. Uh, and I think this could be another one of those sort of political moves where it's like, he was going to retire anyways. Let's go ahead and just announce that he's stepping down, right? Like he's moving away, and we're going to have this change of leadership. And so time will tell, right? If Unity has learned their lesson, if other companies kind of take a page out of this book as a lesson, but you know, maybe I don't like to be cynical, but I'm a little cynical about this, and so I just get the feeling that they haven't learned their lesson, and we are going to have this conversation again. The question is, which studio is it going to be, and in what context? So,
I think at
um,
a bare minimum, studios will. It's. I think it was a lesson for them to diversify a bit and not just rely on like one thing.
mm,
I know that there is an open source alternative. It's escaping me right now. I can't remember the name,
mm,
but it's fairly, I think, close enough to Unity that a lot of devs are like, okay, we're just gonna move over to that because it's open source and we know we're not gonna get the rug pulled out from under us. So I can see a lot of studios saying, okay, like, maybe we'll keep working with Unity because we're comfortable with that, but we're gonna start getting some of the team working through this other engine to get, to be able to make a switch whenever we like really need to.
yeah, and that honestly, it reminds me of when Wizards of the Coast. I mean, they. I feel like they've stepped on a number of rakes over the past year, but there was I think it was when they were revamping, the 5e system, and they were working towards D&D 1 or whatever the system was called, and you know, basically the fandom just sort of like erupted in their face, and then Paizo stepped in and was like, "Hey guys, remember Pathfinder?" And then all of a sudden there was all of this interest in Paizo and Pathfinder, and they sold out of books and all these different stores and everything. And there was just this, the angry mob kind of shifted and said, "Oh yeah, let's go this way." And so it's a great example, kind of a parallel to what happened there with Unity and the open source system, is just to say like, okay, if we don't get it together, then people will find somewhere else to go, right? They will find another system to use. And so I think you the company really needs to have a strong foothold in whatever it is, whatever industry they're in, whatever platform they are, to be able to dictate terms like this. And I think Unity learned they didn't have as much of a stranglehold on the developers as they thought they did, um, and that probably led to part of this backpedaling as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. And for that open source engine, that must be like a boon for them because all of a sudden, you know, devs are always going to go, take the easiest path forward to make a game as quick as they can. And now they have a massive incentive to actually like, okay, let's go learn this other engine that's available.
Right, right. Um, yeah, so we'll see how that works out for Unity as a company. I'm curious to see how they can recover after that PR disaster. But you know, I know people always say that, and then you know, 6 months later, everything is as it was. So our collective memories are entirely too short, and so that's that just seems to happen sometimes. But we'll see how it goes. Another company that's been in the news for not the best reasons, of course, Epic Games. So they had a massive layoff recently of about 16% of their total workforce, like 800 people who no longer are employed or will no longer be employed, which is obviously devastating. It's always terrible to kind of read these stories, and I'm a big fan of Schreier's Press Reset and Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, and those sort of like video game history books, and so you understand seeing the news in the industry that this stuff is unfortunately very common, but it doesn't make the stories any easier to see. Um, but really where I think the anger started to build was not just in the layoffs, but also sort of the creative direction that Epic Games appears to be going. Um, so, I mean, I don't know. I'm curious your thoughts, Alan, on both the reactions to the layoffs, and then also, you know, what is it that Epic wants to do? They want to become a platform. Like, what do you think they're going for here?
I mean, like you see it right in the press release that they had, and Tim Sweeney kind of wrote his thoughts about the layoffs and the whole situation, in that they're trying to build basically like a metaverse, kind of like what Mark Zuckerberg over at Facebook or Meta now has always been wanting to achieve. But the weird thing to me is that they kind of already have the metaverse. You've got characters that you would never expect in the same video game, like Master Chief from Halo and Kratos from God of War, and that's all on one game. They had, like, it's insane that they actually got permission to do that.
Right.
So it is strange how like they like what more could they possibly want? If like Fortnite
Yeah.
ends up feeling a lot like a destination where a lot of people just go to kind of hang out and kind of just play in the background and buy these skins and kind of have that creative space to be in with their friends.
It is. I mean, it's really intriguing to me how Fortnite has evolved as a game and as a space, right? As that people go to essentially like exist in, right, and walk around in and live in. Um, and I remember, I think it was 2021 when they did that concert in Fortnite.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Who was it? I'm
It's
looking it up
this.
right now.
He's like a DJ with like the marshmallow head on, like the marshmallow.
Yeah, Marshmello. Yeah, he held the first
Okay.
ever concert, Fortnite concert, and there was also a Travis Scott uh, concert as well. So like they're doing really interesting things, like in Fortnite, like, using that concept, right? Um, but did they? But they were already doing that, like you said, like not just with the game, not with the character overlap, where like you're playing as Goku or whatever in Fortnite, which is cool. But the sort of boundary pushing idea of going into a game or going into a world to experience a virtual concert, like that's awesome. And that's a great idea, but did you need to lay off 800 people to do that? Because you were doing that 2 years ago, right? So like how do you expand on that and build on you know that sort of world, you know you know unless you have the resources and the manpower to build that out, unless what they're talking about is you know trying to spin those events, those concerts, that sort of virtual life, into an entirely new product. But
It could be. I don't know, man. Maybe he just is like Tim Sweeney is, kind of like Mark Zuckerberg in this headspace where like they want what they saw in Ready Player One in the book or the movie or whatever it is. And like,
Mhm.
even though, like we said, like Fortnite basically is a metaverse. Like you can go in there with Goku and Kamehameha Captain America. Like that's
Sure.
bonkers.
Like,
So
why
like I
wouldn't
don't,
you? Yeah.
yeah. So like I do wonder what in his head or Mark Zuckerberg, like what's the end game? My only assumption is that they want, everyone in a VR headset and like living and working and like doing everything inside of that type of world. But like I don't know if that's gonna happen. I think that he should just be happy. Tim Sweeney, that like they kind of do have that metaverse we're talking about of tons of creativity, people hanging out there all the time, people spending money, plenty of money, and I think uh, part of the conversation that we need to have is like Tim Sweeney kind of sucks at business. Like you've got Fortnite, this incredible metaverse property that was printing money basically, but then you look at the decisions they were making of expanding to get stuff like Bandcamp. I saw a report where they purchased a bunch of land in North Carolina to build like a huge facility,
Right.
and I mean like millions of dollars, but
Mhm.
like they haven't built anything there.
Yeah.
Like one of the plans was to put like affordable housing there, and like no, they bought it, but they still haven't done anything with it. So at a certain point, it's like those are your mistakes, my guy. And like honestly, he should have given up his bonus. He should have given up his salary for a year, and I almost guarantee you that would have covered all those people's salaries that they let go. Like they didn't need to let him go, but I think it's just sort of like, oh, we got to stop the bleeding and like, you know, do this by force.
Yeah.
But it kind of sucks that Tim Sweeney himself faced like zero accountability and zero repercussions for his poor decision making.
Yeah. I mean, the thing too with Fortnite is like, yeah. So the guy who was in charge of Fortnite, Donald Mustard, which killer name by the way, announced that he was stepping down like last month. Um, so he was one of the reasons, like basically the driving force behind the game, and created basically what it is, now. And so it's like, yes, like Fortnite was printing money, but I do think there's something to be said about like the golden cow, like you can only milk it so much, right? And so I do think there's probably pressure that Tim is feeling in terms of like, okay, how do we continue capitalizing on the success of what Fortnite has built now that the boss of Fortnite is leaving and I don't know what he did, right? Like how do we keep this going? And so I think that might be part of this element of trying to expand on the things that made Fortnite unique on the world that people were living in, again, the virtual concerts, etc., so that they could create something new in the absence of Donald, and not being able to have that same creative force at the helm of the game anymore. Um,
Well, I would
but
hope that they
yeah,
had like a company culture where younger employees would come in and like learn from Donald Mustard and pick up a lot of the steps that he
yeah,
did and be able
yeah,
to keep it going. I mean, if not, then again, that's a failure on Tim Sweeney. Like, why don't you make the culture that supports your younger employees coming up? So when your older employees either retire or they want to go do something else and do something different, you're ready for that change.
yeah. No, absolutely. That's a totally valid point, and I think I'm interested to see who will kind of take over for Fortnite, which again is a sort of massive. I don't know if I want to say like once in a generation, but it's definitely been a formative title in gaming over the last 10 years or so. And so, who do you put in charge of that, right? How do they evolve on the game and make it new and interesting and exciting and try and bring in more people, um, or what will Sweeney's vision be, right, for trying to bring elements of that game into potentially a new platform, a new product that people will see echoes of Fortnite in, and potentially bring in more business. But um, a lot of lessons to be learned here for sure. But I'm afraid all the lessons are going to be kind of internalized by everybody on the outside looking in, and not actually being taken by the people who should be be having the lesson, as is often the case with these things.
Also, I do wonder if maybe like have we hit peak life service games? Like Sony, like a lot of companies, including Sony, could be like a car wreck. Just wait, like you're just gonna see, car after car just smash into each other because they are all like, oh, we want our own Fortnite. But I think that you can really only have one Fortnite. Like it's really hard to have more than one game that can occupy sort of a a cultural space as large as Fortnite has, and I think that a lot of those companies are probably sweating pretty hard right now, seeing it slow down and the difficulty that Epic is having.
Yeah, I mean, live service games is a whole other conversation. I think we need to dedicate like a whole episode to talk about, but I do think there's definitely something to be said about how the industry is reassessing live service gaming uh, as a business model. And I think the last Naughty Dog's Last of Us multiplayer, for example, is a great kind of canary in the coal mine when it comes to that, right? They had some internal an internal test done, or an internal review by Bungie, and then they basically put it on ice. And it's like there is a lot of pressure to deliver good live service games, and like you said, was Fortnite the peak, right? Did we just have the best years in live service gaming and we didn't realize it? And now, things are starting to shift. I
Yeah,
think
for
time.
sure. That's like its own podcast all on its own. We should definitely do that.
Yeah, yeah. Ideas. We're getting ideas. Um, so yeah, I mean, those were just kind of two, again, kind of high level stories that we wanted to chat about. But I'm interested to know, Alan, what are you playing right now? What are you been sinking some time into when you have your gaming time?
So I'm being super basic right now. Like we were just talking about it, and I'm playing a Fortnite. I'm in there. I'm in with my friends. I've got
Traitor. That's
the
okay.
I've got the punk skin, so like the Halloween guy with like the pumpkin on his head.
Mm,
I'm hyped for like whenever they do like the Halloween decorations all over the map. That's the type of stuff that I love in Fortnite. And yeah, I'm just playing that. Like I was playing that earlier today with my friends. We're having a blast.
yep.
The other game, again, being super basic here, FIFA 23. It's part of Game Pass. It's like one of the reasons I kind of started on Game Pass because they rolled EA. I can't remember the, I can't I forgot the name, but like the EA basically sort of catalog is now available on Game Pass. It
Mm.
has been for a while, and so I just love like I don't need to spend $70 every year for the new FIFA. I just go download it. I don't care about being on like the latest year with the latest features or whatever. Don't care about online. I'm all about being in my career, my creative player,
Sure,
starting
sure.
down in the lower leagues, working
Yeah,
all the way up to like the La Liga or Premier League. That's what I'm doing right now. How about
that's
you?
awesome. That's awesome. I've never really been into sports games myself, so I see like the FIFA and like all the, um, you know, the, um, the basketball, the football, all those, and I've never really got into them. I think the most was I did get into like NFL, um, for a little while, like the NFL series games. I think for like a couple years, I might have picked it up and tried to get into it, but just never was really my thing. What is my thing, however, are Dark Souls games, Soulsborne games, and so I've been spending quite a bit of time with Lies of P on Game Pass. I it's a it's a Souls like action game, from NeoWiz, um, and the best praise that I can give it is that I feel like I'm playing a From Software game. Like it feels like it's fresh out of their studio. The movements, the world. I mean, it is a bit more. Kind of like explanatory in terms of like what's happening in the world. Like there is a sort of cohesive central singular storyline, which is good, as opposed to just dropping you silently in the middle of a vast world and it's like figure it out, kid. So I do kind of like that. um but really enjoying the combat. I've probably got, I think, like 10 or 12 hours in it right now, working my way through various bosses, etc., having a blast with it. And there are a few other games I'm playing on Game Pass right now. I'm dipping into Starfield a little bit, picking up Hi-Fi Rush, which I missed earlier this year somehow, um, and then trying to finish Final Fantasy 16. Trying to work through my backlog on that. I'm like 60% of the way through. Um, I'm still having a lot of fun with it. Enjoy the combat and everything else. And yeah, so that's what I've been playing. Um, I've got. I just finished Armored Core 6 not too long ago, which was amazing. And yeah, this year has just been absolutely crazy for games. So I,
I forgot that even came out, and I wanted to play it, and I forgot it came out. Now I gotta
dude,
like look out for a Black Friday deal.
dude, yes, do it. It's incredible. I mean, FromSoft didn't release a Soulsborne game. They released Armored Core 6, and it is amazing. Just absolutely crazy. Um, so
Well,
yeah, that's what I've been playing. If you have Game Pass recommendations, and then also what you're looking forward to, like in the next month.
oh, for sure, Stardew Valley, man. Like that game is so chill. Like there's no score, there's no leaderboard. It's just you kind of trying to get your farm going, talking to the little townspeople, and like forming relationships and friendships. It's good vibes, which like can count for a lot.
Yeah, Stardew Valley is 100% good vibes. I Somebody was mentioning the other day in our company Slack that you know they recommended it casually to somebody who isn't really a gamer, and the person was like, I probably won't like it, and then they've spent 600 hours in the game since then, and so it just made me think like, hey, like Stardew Valley doesn't hit all the time, but like it hits like 90% of the time, and when it hits deep. Like I have a light like interest in Stardew Valley, and I have I think 85 to 100 hours in my save, and that's playing it like super cash, right? Like there are people like when you get into it, you're gonna be living in that world. So um, definitely a great recommendation for Game Pass to Stardew Valley. I would say for Game Pass, Persona. Quite a few Persona games are on Game Pass. Persona 3 Golden is on there. Persona 5 Royal is on there. Um, so like if you love expansive JRPGs with killer soundtracks and amazing combat and awesome story, Persona. That's it. Like that's
Yeah, 100%. And characters too. Those characters are just awesome.
yeah, amazing characterization, amazing characters. So yeah, and again, I did a video on Game Pass not too long ago, and I am just consistently surprised with the breadth and depth of the library that currently exists, and it's $10 a month, you guys. Like I know. I know it's rough out there right now. Like you're thinking new video games in this economy? I get it. And I'm telling you like $10 a month, it's an amazing deal. I think I was a little miffed with Sony recently. Big of a Sony fan as I am, I was miffed with the recent changes to the PlayStation Plus pricing, and so that kind of made me wonder, like thinking more about the value that it brings and the library that it has. I think without a doubt, the Game Pass $10 a month is 100% worth it. So if you haven't already, then make sure that you are
A
exploring
little
that
pro tip
service.
here. I mean,
Yeah.
it kind of involves kind of an upfront investment, but you kind of end up saving. What I did, it's not as great of a deal this time around, but
Mm.
if you have a Costco membership, they'll sell you often a year of Xbox Live for 50 versus 60 usually. So you can
Oh,
pick up three of those bad boys, and yeah, 150. That's a lot of money. It's not nothing, but you can then go at put those 3 years onto your account, and for their dollar, turn it into Game Pass Ultimate. And it goes at a two to
mm,
three ratio. It used to be like 1 to 1, but they killed it obviously.
right.
Very recently, it really bummed me out because I was hanging on to those three Xbox Live Gold cards waiting. But still, even at that 2 to 3 ratio, you're still saving a ton of money, like a good $120 over the course of the
Nice,
2 years. So
nice.
that would be my play. Get those if you got a Costco or a friend with Costco or a family with Costco. Get them when they're on sale at about $50. And then pick up three, add them to your account, and then convert for the $1 for Ultimate, and that'll tack on another month as well. So like 2 years and 1 month for 150 versus I think it's like 180 for the year. So you're saving like a significant amount of money.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks for the pro tip. That's what we're here for. Um, all right, last section here, last bit. I want to know what you're really excited for in the next. I know we're going to be doing these episodes weekly, but I want to hear one game, one game that you're really excited for that's coming out in the next month.
Oh, Forza Horizon. Like I'm not even not excuse me, not Forza Horizon, just Forza Motorsport.
I gotcha, gotcha.
Forza Horizon came out a couple years ago, so
Yeah.
they it's a bit confusing. Basically, this one's a little more for the sweaty, like competitive drivers. But like, I'm just here for the eye candy. Like, I do have more fun in Horizon, but this game just looks so sick from all the videos that I've seen. Like I've already
Hmm.
got it preloaded. I'm ready to get in there. Series X on my 4K TV. Let's go HDR, the whole 9 yards. I'm here to enjoy the eye candy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I've definitely seen some gameplay videos, and people are talking about like it looks photorealistic. Like they're seeing shots from the driver's seat, and it's like, was this captured like on a racetrack? Like, what is this? It looks gorgeous, and I would hope that my computer could support something kind of close to that.
What
We'll
GPU you
see.
rocking? What GPU we got?
I got so I've got a no, I did this out. It's a GeForce GTX 1070. So I've got like I want to say how much? I think I have like 8 gigs of VRAM.
Yeah, the 1070 is definitely getting long in the tooth. Uh, I would definitely
Yeah,
look out on Black Friday for some deals. I don't know, honestly. You might be able to do it at 1080p. You might have to go down to like 900p depending on how much like eye candy you turn on.
yeah,
Because that this thing is gonna like it'll try and break your computer for sure.
for sure. Yeah, it already sounds sometimes like my computer wants to take off into space, and so my wife is always like, "That thing sounds like it's gonna like take off through the window." So I want to get like an upgraded fan, but I was looking at some of the parts on my computer and doing like some um some of those like tools that tell you like how powerful your computer is or whatever, and it was like 80%. So it was like, hey, like you're kind of up there in terms of like what's out there in the world right now. But I think as soon as Forza lands, they're going to be like, yeah, if you want this to look real good, you're going to have to upgrade your hardware. So i'm uh I'm okay with that. We'll take a look at it. But awesome, that sounds like a great one to look forward to, and I'll probably be checking it out as well. For me, I think there are two really big games, but I said I'm only going to pick one, so I'm going to go with kind of an easy pick here, which is Spider-Man 2. Um, with Spider-Man 2, I of course I really enjoyed the first one. Insomniac Games creates a fantastic third-person action title with one of the most recognizable superheroes out there, and I think the new game looks like it's going to be incredible. The combat, the voice acting, the narrative, all that stuff, it all looks incredible, and so I'm really looking forward to it. And that's going to be my next addiction. I just have to play catch up um, through my backlog of many, many games because 2023 has been brutal to the wallet and the backlog. So that's what I'm working on. But that's what I'm really looking forward to in gaming. So are you? Well, so you don't. You mainly do Xbox and stuff. So did you play? Have you played Spider Man?
No, I haven't. It's in like
Okay.
my eternal backlog.
Gotcha. All right. Well, hopefully you'll get a chance to experience it one day because it is a tremendous game. So, um, all right. Well, I think that'll wrap us up for our first episode of GG Dispatch here. Thank you everyone who is listening to this episode again. Appreciate you being with us on day one, episode one. We will continue to bring weekly stories, weekly conversations to you. And until next time, make sure to check out the Geekly Grind for all your geekly needs: tabletop games, anime, video games, all that good stuff. And we'll see you next time. See you, gamers.
See ya.